the homily. You know, today strikes at the heart of what religion is all about. You know, a lot of times we think that religion is all about ethics. You know, it helps us to be good. It gives us an ethical way of living. So that Christianity is just like, say, Buddhism or those types of things. You know, Hinduism gives you an ethic for life. Yeah, and we do that. There is an ethic that comes from Christianity. But there's something much more. And our readings today point to the deeper reality. There are two actual issues that are there. In our first reading from the second book of Maccabees, one of the boys makes the statement that in the resurrection of the just, that's actually at that time a very new concept. That resurrection for the just would happen. Bad people don't get resurrected, they just stay dead. They didn't have a concept of hell or of heaven, but that at the resurrection of the just at the end of time, God would bring back to life all of those people who had been faithful to him in their lifetime. And that was a fairly common belief about 300 years before Jesus. But in the gospel, we hear something different. In the gospel, what we hear is immortality. Immortality. Something very, very different. To know that, and we say it in our prayer at funeral masses, for those who believe, life is not aimed, life is not ended, but merely changed. Life is changed, not ended. That concept of immortality. Do you ever sit and wrestle with that forever? You know, so what's it going to be like? Are you going to sit on a cloud and play harps for the rest of eternity? And eternity, how long? I mean, do they have commercial breaks? You know, what's that all about? It's a much bigger concept than what you and I have experience of. And we wrestle with that. Because that's why we're here. That Jesus Christ rose from the dead. Now, we're all Christians. We get that. You know, yeah, Jesus Christ rose from the dead. Yeah, Easter, hooray, Easter bunnies and all that stuff. We get that. No. It's much deeper than that. To realize that Jesus Christ rose from the dead, and you and I will too. That's why when we have a funeral liturgy, it's in white. Not because we're celebrating the fact that they're dead, but because of our hope that is given to us in Jesus Christ, and he who has first risen from the dead and mapped the way where we will go. That's the root of why you and I are here. Everything else is icing on the cake. The ethics, the vision, holiness, all of those things. Those are icing on the cake. The guts of it is our firm belief that Jesus Christ is alive, has risen from the dead, and we will too. If we don't believe that, why bother? Is it worth it? Is it worth all of this just to be a nice person? You can be a nice person anywhere. But our firm belief that resurrection is ours. It is our hope. It is our goal. It is our right. By virtue of our baptism, you and I share in that. It's not just a reanimation of the dead. It is grasping onto eternal life. For the Jews, it was an issue of justice. That God could not let good people just die. Couldn't be. And so their absolute claim to justice was that God would make justice happen by bringing the just back to life. And the unjust stayed dead. But for the Greek, the early Christians, who were primarily Greeks, it was not about justice. It was about immortality. To live as God lives. To live as the gods. Because they did have a concept of life after death. But it looked very different. What you and I come here for is a merging of the two. And we hear it in the gospel passage today. That God's so good, our God is a just God. And his commitment to justice will not allow us to die in vain. At the same time, because of our baptism, we live forever with him. That's the reason why we're here. We've only got 2 weeks left of green. In 2 weeks, we move into, or in 3 weeks, we move into Advent. Are you ready? You know, you got your Advent wreath all selected. You got your to dust off your nativity set. We're moving to a new cycle of hope, a new cycle of life, a new cycle of our belief in Jesus Christ. And it begins with that small child who lived, died, and rose so that you and I would have the courage to hope. May we encourage each other to live in hope today.